What's up, everybody?
G. Bush, Adam the Bull, Mikey McNuggets joining with you guys. The 2-minute warning post-game show of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. At the moment, the Browns lead 24-10 over the Commanders. Deshaun Watson with an emphatic 3-touchdown performance in the second half. We're going to get G. I'm not sure where G's going for a second. So just me and you for a second.
Let me give you a little play-by-play here, Mikey McNuggets, because we jumped on early today. There's 2:08 to go. The Washington with a 4th and 10 at their own 36. Wentz drops back, rolls right out of the pocket, fires deep downfield. It is intercept. No, it's incomplete. Either way, it's Brown's ball. It would have been stupid, actually, to intercept it, so it's a good thing he dropped it. Still not at the 2-minute warning, but the Browns will take over with 2:03 to go. Washington, no timeouts, so the Browns should be able to run out the clock and end the game, and they will, unless something bizarre happens, they will win 24-10. So there you go. By the way, you know where G just went?
Where is that?
You just had to go. You were just, rumor has it you left us for a minute because you were helping to pull the chicken bone out of Ryan Day's throat from choking.
Chicken bones are devastating. Humans and dogs can choke off with chicken bones, man. That's kind of bad, bro.
Man, how did the Buckeyes choke away that game? But that's neither here nor there.
We will talk about that at some point. But talk about a tale of two halves, guys. The first half offensively set football back to the Stone Ages. We're going to talk about Kevin Stefanski's decision to take points off the board, go for it on 4th down, which, hand up, I'll tell you right now, I love the decision. Bull,
it's a no-brainer, especially when there's nothing to lose because you're already eliminated.
Save it. I'm just giving the rundown. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson in the first half versus Deshaun Watson in the second half. In the second 30 minutes of this game, we saw the quarterback the Browns and Browns fans had hoped to see for 4.5, 5 weeks now. He looked like the Deshaun Watson of old. Amari Cooper with some big-time catches. DPJ, David Njoku also showing up. Nick Chubb had himself a game. The Browns look like they're going to win without Chubb having 20 carries. So Jay Crawford's going to have to sleep with that one tonight. Jerome Ford had more rushing yards than Curtis Samuel. Another unanimous decision, and no fence riders that everyone got wrong. Sometimes you just got to trust me when I tell you guys, when I drop a little nugget like that.
Hey, I got the long play.
You did. You were the only one to get that. Yep. But G. Bush, let's start with you, my friend.
Y'all doing victory laps on the 17th game. You know what? I will say, you guys will take it to the end.
Taking it to the end. Taking it to the streets, G. We're doing victory laps on fence riders, not on the Browns.
Fence riders. They're like, some people just watch this back. What the hell is a fence rider?
Yeah.
So, G. Bush, we'll start with you. Overall impressions of Deshaun Watson today, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything between. What's up?
Well, I kind of, at first half, I put out a tweet. I was like, man, Deshaun Watson, man, every time I mention another wide receiver, we be talking about now we got Donovan Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper because there just wasn't being very many people open, bro. He was running around at one point in time, we thought he threw the ball to Conklin, which I think he did. He was trying to extend plays, but nobody really went open. David Njoku was dropping the ball. To be honest with you, I thought they were setting themselves up for just to lose. I was like, yeah, they're going to lose this game. But they didn't expect that their quarterback, Carson Wentz, was going to be just as bad in the first half. And God, he carried that out throughout the whole game. I don't know what they was talking about or looking at. I don't know why he's starting or playing anymore, but I'll take it. But the second half, I thought Deshaun Watson played his best game. 3 touchdown passes, ball being on the money. Evaded the rush, the intermediate passes. He was hitting those. He went to a couple of them to Amari Cooper. Right now, I thought he played his best game. He gave you 3 touchdowns. He showed you that he could still elude the pressure. He showed you could be on the money. And they still had a decent game from Nick Chubb, who started them off early. I still think they need some vertical threat. I still think they need somebody to get deep, and he'll look a lot better if they can get that. But overall, I think it was it was his best game as a Cleveland Brown.
Adam the Bull?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good game overall. It was a magnificent second half. I mean, obviously they only had like 15 plays in the first half. Because of that it's funny because Washington had that 21-play, 96-yard drive where Carson Wentz jumps in at the 1-yard line, and that was the only. Outside of that drive, the Browns were terrible defensively on that drive. The rest of the game, the defense played great. They got pressure on Wentz. They force some turnovers. We all know he's terrible, but so is their other quarterback. That's their problem. They're actually not a bad team. This idea that they're terrible is ridiculous. It's people wanting to pile on the Browns. I know they didn't play well, but Washington's got good backs. They got good receivers. They got a decent tight end. Their offensive line's okay. Their defensive line and their front seven's pretty good. Their secondary was banged up, and obviously their quarterback, the most important thing, sucks, and that's why they're mediocre to slightly below mediocre. But their defense in particular has been really good. Their D-line is really good, and they were all over Watson in the first half. So he didn't put up any numbers. He didn't really. I'd say he just did nothing in the first half. He barely threw the ball. We had some drops. He missed a couple of things early, and there were a couple times where I was like, throw the ball away, and he didn't. But the second half was an A+. I mean, he was tremendous in the second half. He made every throw. They were finally holding on to the ball in the second half. DPJ, after had another drop early. Njoku, who last week was terrible, in the first half was terrible. He held on to the ball. But that one big touchdown really got them going. Amari Cooper makes the catch and then takes off for the touchdown. I said they'd have a 40-plus yard touchdown this week. I thought it was going to go exactly the way it did. I predicted Njoku. I was wrong, but it was Cooper who took it, and then he missed. The one tackle is missed, and he gets the big play. Cooper had the 3 big catches, all for 30-plus yards. So it was, Watson's second half, tremendous. Hopefully he can put it together for a full game next week. But overall, I'd give him, an A- for the game, but an A++ for the second half.
Yeah, we got 2 super chats to read real quick. Someone named Earl D. Malden says, "My guys, Happy New Year to the UCSS crew." Earl, hope you're enjoying your day off here. Happy New Year to you as well.
Earl doing a super chat. Happy New Year to Earl and everybody else.
Happy New Year to everyone out there, by the way. I was talking to Earl in the first half, and we were just talking about Watson. And to me, it seemed like in the first half, and granted, Washington's defensive line was in the backfield almost immediately. But to me, it seemed like he was mentally just still half a step slow. Like he wasn't planting and firing. And it's tough to see from the TV angle whether guys are just completely covered and no one's open, or he's just a little hesitant to let it fly. That's still building chemistry. In the second half, I thought he let it rip. And man, when he does throw the ball, it's a thing of beauty. He's hitting guys in stride. The Amari Cooper first touchdown, that 46-yard on the sideline. Granted, Kendall Fuller should have probably made the tackle or been able to push him out of bounds. But G. Bush, the way he threw that pass, Cooper was able to catch it and in one step, shake to the outside. He didn't have to stop his rhythm to stop, stutter step, break himself down. It was so fluid, and that was in such a perfect position for Cooper to make a play out of that. And that's the difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback. The ability to deliver the ball on time in certain places so guys can make plays after the catch. And I really think Watson was spectacular in the second half. You couldn't ask for more unless you're like me who gambled on him with the new legal gambling in Ohio to throw for at least 216.5 yards, and he did not come close to that. So thank you for the free bets from FanDuel. They all lost.
Hey, shout out to them.
But I'll take them. And Charles T says, Happy New Year. We need a receiver bad. They're going to get some receiver in the offseason. I can assure you of that. Happy New Year to you too, Charles, out in Germany.
So this is just good note to, they give you all this. They give you $300 to gamble. Right, so I took it and I put it on Washington Commanders, I think they were. It was a minus. They were -2.
They were -2, yeah.
-2. They lost. That's why you don't gamble. They gave everybody a free 100 so they could prove to themselves this is why you don't take your money and gamble it. But gamble. If you
gamble responsibly.
You gamble responsibly. If you do want to sponsor the show, we can definitely show.
And the game is officially over, guys. Now.
24-10 final.
Yes.
24-10 final.
But I thought McNuggets. I thought you. I thought he played really well for that second half. Quarterback rating 122.5. You look how they spread the ball around. Amari Cooper 3 catches for 105, 2 touchdowns. Njoku had 1 catch for 21 yards, but he dropped about 2 of them. Harrison Bryant had a couple catches for 19 yards. Donovan Peoples-Jones, quiet day, 1 for 13. Nick Chubb 1 for 12 on a screen pass. Kareem Hunt did catch a screen pass, a little dump off of the backfield. He lost a yard. But you look at the distribution. They threw the ball, spread it around. And even when you talk about the ruddy game, this is what you should be getting used to looking for. Nick Chubb, 14 carries, 104. I think Nick Chubb is going to be around 14 to 16 carries 18 at tops coming into next year. That's what he's going to be. No touchdowns on the ground, but he still got his 100 yards because he's Nick Chubb. And Deshaun Watson, he ran the ball 8 times for 31 yards with a long of 21. So these are kind of the numbers that you would expect to see out of the Browns when they're playing well. I think the top, like the highest peak you're going to see is if Deshaun Watson gets to about that 275, 280, and he's efficient 275, 280 with 3 touchdowns. That's where they would like him to be with Nick Chubb, getting you 16, 18 carries. That's what they would like to be. But I do still think I do agree they need another receiver.
I think Nick Chubb is going to carry. I mean, today was weird because they didn't have a lot of plays. In the first half, they barely had the ball because of that long. It was just a weird game. There weren't a lot of plays. I think as the Browns now, see, here's something that we haven't really talked about. I mean, you got to think about this. Not only has Deshaun Watson not played in 2 years, he's never played with these wide receivers until now. He's never played in this system until now. So think about it. All right, I'll use the Bengals as an example. People can roll their eyes if they want. Joe Burrow has been throwing to Tyler Boyd for 3 years. He's been throwing to Jamar Chase for 3 of the last 4 years, including 4 of the last 5 years, including college. He's been throwing to T. Higgins for the last 3 years. So not only has he been playing, but he has great chemistry with those guys. Deshaun Watson, he's just starting to develop chemistry with these players. That doesn't happen overnight. No matter how talented you are, you're always going to be better when you have chemistry with your wide receivers because there's things. You know this as a player better than anybody, right? Once your wide receivers kind of know what you're like, you'll have hidden signals where you just look at a guy and he knows what you're thinking, and that doesn't happen in a month. That takes time.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
Well, not to say you're totally wrong, and I do agree.
Because I'm totally right, but go ahead.
But you look at Tua and Tyreek this year. They had an off season. They start out the season, and Tyreek's on pace for 3/4 of the year to break the NFL passing record. Didn't Peyton Manning in his first year with the Broncos set the new record for touchdown passes in a single season?
But those guys hadn't sat out 2 years in addition to the chemistry issues, and they had played. Both those guys had traditional off seasons with their new teams. Tua was throwing the entire. Now I know Deshaun Watson was around for some of the off season, but there was a lot hanging over the team. He wasn't taking a typical amount of snaps even in training camp in the preseason because they had to get Jacoby Brissett ready because they knew Watson was going to be suspended, and then he didn't play with them at all. So I'm not saying it's a total. When I bring up these things, it's not an excuse. It's not 100% excuse to say, oh, there's Deshaun Watson is fine. There's no problem at all. Yeah, he's played poorly at times, but these things all factor into why he has struggled.
Yeah, I agree with that. Those are facts. I mean, I just don't want I don't want Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski to get lulled into sleep and feel like they don't have to be aggressive. They have to be probably the most aggressive they've ever been in free agency. Would you guys agree in terms of getting guys to fill holes? I think they got to be super aggressive. They don't have
a ton of cap space, but yeah, they got to use whatever they have to get the best players.
I think the whole cap space thing is overstated. I just feel like there's always a way around the cap, whether it's cutting a guy, whether it's restructuring a guy. There's always ways to do it. Yes, absolutely. Now, I don't know if the wide receiver they need is going to be available via free agency. That might be something they have to do either in the draft or maybe through a trade. I'm not sure. We haven't gotten into full off-season mode yet, so I'm not sure exactly who that is. But your general,
who's available,
right? But your general philosophy, it is imperative if this offense is going to be dynamic, like we want to see it, and multiple, where you can have Nick Chubb rush for 1,300 yards and Deshaun Watson throw for 4,500 yards, because that's what the goal should be next year. And if they're going to be that type of offense, they do need to get one. Their wide receiving core is not bad. Amari Cooper's very good. Donovan Peoples-Jones is solid. It's not bad. Let's not make it seem it's bad, but it's not good enough for them to be dynamic as an offense. Right. They need that third guy who's really whether he's the number one, number two, whatever, a guy is, you could say, that could take the top off, that can get open, with his speed.
Catch it.
Yes, and the Browns in general, honestly, they should get a new wide receiver coach or whatever, because There's way too many drops. I know, like the official drop statistic. I don't know how they decide that, because every week it's like they had 2 drops, and I'm like, there's 5 drops. What are you talking? I'm sure it's the same for every team, but in general, like the Browns have had this problem. Odell Beckham had his worst catch percentage of his career in Cleveland. So did Jarvis Landry. David Njoku has always had a problem holding on to the ball. Like this, some of that's on the players, but some of it, when guys like Landry and Odell have been better in other places, it's on the coaching staff too. I don't know.
Real quick, G, the list of free agent wide receivers this year, guys that are available, and there could be cuts and other things, but like the guys who are scheduled to be free agents, there's no real speed guys out there that's going to really entice you. Juju Smith-Schuster's the best receiver available as a free agent. You're better off to be getting a guy in the draft. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, they ain't going to get it done. Or unless they want to, unless you got somebody who's disgruntled somewhere. I mean, Devontae Adams is not he went there to play with David or Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously
he's making a boatload of money.
Yeah, he's making a ton of bread.
But and they'd have to restructure. But my God, if they got Devontae Adams, the problem is you'd have to give up a lot to get him, and they already gave up so much for. That would be tougher. I don't know, but maybe because he's making so much money, maybe if the Raiders want to start over, I don't know, but they got to be open-minded to anything. And listen, the one thing you could say, I do think with Andrew Berry, whether and his track record is at best a mixed bag at this point. I think it's fair to say. I think he's been aggressive. I mean, he hasn't been afraid to make a move. At least during the offseason. Now, we may not like some of the moves he made. We may think he should have been more aggressive in this area or that. But it's not like they've sat on their hands the last couple of years.
He's done. The super chat says, "Hey fellas, DeForest Buckner will be a nice addition. Lazard might be a good receiver to grab." Hey, listen, I like both of them names.
What about the kid? What's his name? Who had the sack for Washington? Who I mentioned last week? Deron Payne. Now they'll probably franchise him if they can't sign him. But if he somehow that guy is a difference maker in the middle.
Beast.
Yeah.
They got a lot of defensive linemen.
They do. Chase Young is just a beast.
They good as hell up front, bro.
They use what, 4 first-round picks on defensive linemen back to back to back to back. Like it's absurd. One super chat real quick says they should look at Robbie Anderson in Arizona.
No, stop it. That's not the answer. Robbie Anderson. Come on, we need better than that.
That was Dr. Lateef.
Dr. Lateef. Come on, give me something better, Dr. Lateef.
He could have said Anthony Schwartz. He would have been real mad.
I don't want to see that guy on the roster next year. I'm sick of looking at that guy.
I can't imagine he will be.
But Adam Thielen, what are you, out of your mind?
Thielen doesn't fit what they need. They need speed.
Thielen has been running with his refrigerator on his back in Minnesota the last.
I do want to talk a little about this defense real quick before we get back to Watson.
Yeah.
There are a couple dudes on this defense who I think are in the last 4 or 5 games have become legitimate play. Like Grant Delpit's playing out of his mind right now. And I think he's making strides to where, before the season, you said the Browns had found their next Ed Reed. Well, I don't think he's that. But he's a legitimate safety, and I think he's a building block on this defense.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett, once again, had a big-time play, got down Carson Wentz. And there were some other young guys. Perry Winfrey had a play or two. Winovich had a sack today. A couple of these guys.
Let's not get nuts. I'm
just saying, a couple of guys made some plays. Yeah, I'm not trying to, stand on the table. Please refer to
Winovich as RWD. Thank you.
But it is encouraging to see that the defense, which could have very easily just thrown in the towel, Joe Woods is on his way out in the offseason. They're out of the playoffs. They're eliminated. These guys came to play today, and whether or not Carson Wentz was on the opposing sideline or under center, they made some plays when it mattered most, and I do think they deserve a little recognition for the effort we saw.
It's difficult because, and I don't want to strip them of what they've done because I do think Denzel Ward has played well. As you can see, look how much better do these guys play in man-to-man coverage. Look how better Newsome is close to the football. Look how
Denzel Ward balled out too. Sorry,
look how better Delpit is as a in-the-box safety, not a guy playing center field. That's not his. So you digress because you want to say, well, we could have been doing that at the beginning of the year, but we weren't playing to our strengths and our personnel. And then you don't want to diminish them because it's easy when you're playing and there's no skin in the game, right? You're not playing. We found out when we watched these college games that, it's all good. Everybody can make plays when the game ain't on the line, but it's about who can make them plays when the game is on the line and you got everything to play for. And the Browns, unfortunately, for the last couple of years, haven't had much to play for. So what you're saying is these guys out there playing fast. They look like they're playing free. They don't really care if they get beat deep or they're not really thinking about it. They're just going out there to play. So, that's a component of it. But I do believe that there's some guys that John Johnson has played much better in the second half of the season. Delpit, I thought Denzel Ward, hard to believe this. He had 3 picks this year, and that's his career high. It's kind of crazy.
And Newsom doesn't have one yet.
Yeah, guys, I think Denzel Ward is the biggest one. I mean, he looked, because he's a great player, and he played like crap the whole first half of the season, and he's been a totally different player the second half of the year. It was a great play on the pick that he had. Delpit has been much better. We've been waiting for that for a while, and now he's finally come around. I'm not, I still think I'd move on from maybe John Johnson at the end of the year and look for somebody else in that spot. Reggie Ragland has been a nice addition off the scrap heap, right?
I think he might, if he comes in camp in shape. Yeah, I think he might make this team.
I mean, he's a linebacker that's big and tackles. That's what you got a bunch of like tiny linebackers that are maybe, I guess more of a strength in pass coverage as opposed to getting downhill and making that tackle. So there's some promising things.
And plus, somebody, I don't know what they're gonna want. I don't know what he's gonna want. But I talked to, I talked to Daryl and I talked to Mary Kay, and they're not sold on the fact that the Browns won't resign Clowney. They're not. Oh, they're not saying he's out here.
I would not. My 2 cents on that. He's gonna. He's not cheap. He's not expensive, but he's not cheap. His production and his availability do not equal whatever you're paying for Jadeveon Clowney at this point.
Yeah,
he is a guy who's injury prone. But here's the thing: I'm just reading their tea leaves. If I thought Conklin was about to retire and they gave him $60 million, then I can read
his contract. Real quick, if you look at his contract, it's like a base salary of $3 million for 2 years, and then it's player off. Like it's really a 2-year deal that they could get out of for like 12.
So they gave him a bunch of signing bonus money.
It's not nearly as bad a contract as when you first saw those numbers come out. But still, I would have put James Hudson there. Like I don't like the signing still, but it's not as bad.
Well,
let me get the super chat in real quick.
Yeah.
Ronaldo Archer, he says Browns defensive players playing for contract bonuses, playing tough, smart, and accountable. Play all season for contract bonuses. If this is the caliber of play we're going to see from some of these guys.
No, here's they play like they already know Joe Woods is dead. They know he's cooked, and they're like, okay, well, let's get back to it now. Even Myles Garrett was like, yeah, I missed something. He was right for doing that. He probably done sat down and talked to. See, you always read between the lines, man. When players be doing a little certain things, they just like kids, bro. They acting out like they're like, listen, if you don't not tell me, you're gonna keep me in the dark about what's going on over here. I'm gonna just be accidentally late to something to see how you feel about it. And so, I look at this stuff now, and I think they're playing with a sense of, okay, well, at least we know where we're going next year, and he ain't going to be here. So we might as well go out and play.
Guys, I think the defense has overall played a lot better, but we got to be realistic. In 5 of the last 6 games, the Browns have played some of the worst offensive teams in the league. You've played
and they play the Steelers next week. So it's not
Washington, Houston, Tampa Bay, Baltimore without Lamar, and New Orleans. I mean, these are horrible. I don't say it to completely take away credit from the defense, but I don't think we want to get, I'm giving credit to some of the guys who have played better. I also don't want us to get carried away and say, oh, this guy's great and this guy's great, and let's stick with Joe Woods. No. You got to take into account who you've played, and they've played better, but they've played bad teams except for Cincinnati in the last 6 weeks.
Wasn't that the same case that happened last year, guys? And please correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they play a bunch of terrible offenses late in the season? That's what kind of led them to have that top 3 defense for the second half.
You know what? I can't remember exactly what the schedule was. I thought it was better. The defense overall was better last year, even than it's playing now.
I'll say this, man. I don't look at it compared to the rest of the other people. I look at it compared to where you want to go, and if you want to go to, you keep saying Super Bowl. And it's all kind of stuff that they need to dig up, replant, find, and fix. Like it's just, they got a lot of stuff that that they have to get better with. Like you said, man. Even if you look at the teams like the Dolphins, man, teams like the Dolphins with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and just look at the production. So for me, it's the production that sticks out. And if you want to be one of those teams, you're gonna have to be legitimately one of those teams with your roster, with your acquisitions, and you got to be that way with your production.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing with the defense here too is little progress can lead to momentum in the offseason. What are you laughing at,
This guy George said it's time to get rid of Adam the Bull. He's a loudmouthed, opinionated drunk. All right. Number one, you want to get rid of me?
Drink.
That's not going to happen. Number two, I don't drink. Three, I am loudmouth and opinionated. Don't you want the people you listen to be opinionated?
No. Well,
you want some vanilla nothing? I could list all the Cleveland media people who are vanilla nothings. You could go listen to them. At first I'm being accused of we're being too excited about the Browns win today. Now I'm being accused of denigrating the defense because they've played nobody. It's so funny.
Well, if you have one more opinion this whole show, I'm cutting your mic off.
That's so right.
Don't you dare throw an opinion out here. Hey, thoughts on this though, guys, and it's gonna come up. We're gonna talk about it. Stefanski's decision to take points off the board in the first half, end up going for it. QB sneak with Watson, they get stopped. I loved it. They're out of the playoffs. You literally have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And I can't wait for people on the show tomorrow.
Jay was losing his mind.
I know, listen, we love Jay, but I can't wait for – and, G, I'm curious where you fall on this because I saw Earl tweet, and Earl was not a fan of it.
Oh, Earl's lost. Earl.
I have no – you have nothing to lose at this point. Like,
by the way, I would have done that even if I had something to lose. But by the way, I think the mistake Stefanski made was not going for it on 4th at the 8 because you have, like I said, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, I mean, where I stand is, listen, I told you 2-3 weeks ago, it's all about stats at this point. I'm trying to figure out if you still good or not. Like, you convince me. Like, I want to see the playbook open up. I want to see numbers. I want to see points. Like, I mean, that little field goal ain't talking about nothing. You out of the playoffs, bro. Like that.
And also, how many opportunities are you going to get? And we're going to read this comment here, but how many opportunities do you get to see Deshaun Watson in a legit 4th and goal situation that you just can't? You can simulate it in practice, but it's not the same. We had a super chat earlier that said Jackson Smith and Jigba in the 2nd round. That's from
he's not going in the 2nd round. What are you crazy?
Christ King Callis, I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't want to click out of this comment from Ben. It's not a super chat. We're going to read it anyway.
Yeah.
My biggest, and this is from Ben. My biggest issue, Bull, is I do not believe you're a genuine Browns fan. I feel like you are a Browns fan because it suits your job. Your response?
I don't know what to tell people. Everybody, have I ever lied about being a Bengals fan?
Never.
Like, I know for a fact there's other people in Cleveland that aren't Browns fans that pretend to be Browns fans. I've told you from the beginning, I am a Bengals fan first. I've always been a Bengals fan first. I've been a Bengals fan since I was a kid. Why would I pretend to be a Browns fan? However, I do root for the Browns because you want to say it's because I work here, I live here, whatever the reason. I can't even explain. Yes, it's better for business if the Browns win, but ultimately, why would you as a fan care? Why would you even care if I want them to win or not? In fact, I think I give the best analysis because I'm not biased, because I'm not a homer for the Browns. But I do want the Browns to win, except when they're playing the Bengals. I think I've made that pretty clear. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I mean, why would I want even if it's just for work, who cares? It's better if the Browns win.
Hey, listen, I told y'all, this is the reason they have me on the show. Look, I tell you all the time. I say openly. I be over there rolling my eyes when Ndidi be talking about the Steelers. I hate when she talks about the Steelers. I'll be over there like, no, we not about to do this no more. Yeah. And then when she's done, I'm like, I still want to be. I hope the Steelers. I told her to her face, I don't want them to win ever. I want all the bad things in the world to happen in the Steelers. I want their team to be moved to Philadelphia and then shut down.
Yeah.
I want them to be moved.
But she's not a Steeler fan. She's not a Steeler fan. People think she is, but she's not.
She lives there.
I know, but she's not a Steeler fan.
She lived there.
Well, but I live here.
And by the way, and I get on Bull too. What I tell Bull, I said, listen, it's easy for you to say keep Stefanski because he keeps you winning.
No, that's I don't want him to stay for that reason. You know that.
But I'm just saying, I don't like the Bengals neither.
But here's the thing, G. For Ben followed up and said, I'm not listening to him or Aditi talk about the Browns. Well, you should be listening to me and Aditi more than anyone else because we're not just going to kiss the Browns' ass because we're not fans. Not that G kisses their ass. He's ripping them half the time, more than half the time. He calls it like he sees it. But you should be. I know, like as a Bengals fan, if I don't listen to Cincinnati sports talk. And I love my man James Rapine, but I don't ever listen to Cincinnati sports talk. I'm not interested in listening to a bunch of homers who are Bengals fans. If I want to hear something about the Bengals, I'll put on NFL radio or whatever and get an unbiased opinion on it. I don't want a biased opinion.
But but I like what I like about Bull though. He's sneaky with it. I like subliminals, right?
Yeah,
he'll throw a Bengals score in there in a heartbeat. I'm like, this dude just do this.
I know he slides it in. He slides them
inside, and that's that look he be doing. Like, yeah.
Well, I was just looking at the TV before because I wanted the Chiefs to lose because if the Chiefs lost, then the Bengals would control their own destiny for the number 1 seed.
Hey, listen, this is why this show is great.
Last point, we'll get back to the game. Make your last point.
How about this nice super chat from this guy? Let's read the super chat.
I'm trying to bring us back on track here. It's a post-game show, and now we're talking about Bulls fandom. This is from the Guard 16. Ignore the haters, Bull, but always enjoy hearing your honest takes and passion. Thanks for everything you and the rest of the UCSS crew do. We appreciate you too, the Guard 16, and I hope you appreciated what Deshaun Watson did in the second half today. Indeed. 3 touchdowns. It's his first multi-touchdown game in a Browns uniform. The first time he's thrown for 2 touchdowns. He also did he throw for 3 or did he run for? No, he threw for 3.
No, he threw for 3.
2. Heading into Steelers week. We have now seen one legitimate half from the old Deshaun Watson. No drops, no could have, would have, should have. That was one damn good half of football. Yeah. If you replicate that half, it's 280 yards and 6 touchdowns. Probably not plausible.
6 touchdowns.
But you're looking at a legitimate game that wins him AFC Player of the Week honors. Is it sustainable for an entire week?
If he throw for 6 touchdowns, he throw for 6 touchdowns against the Steelers. I will make T-shirts that says 2023 MVP. He's the top 5. He let him throw for 6 touchdowns against the Steelers on the way out. I will say he's going to continue to get better. Like this, what happens exponentially where you got guys that are really good at what they do. The first couple of games, you look, it becomes night and day. See where he right now, the way he played today is the highest level of Jacoby Brissett. Right here. That was it. That's the highest level. Next week, he goes Super Saiyan. If you watch Dragon Ball Z, he goes Super Saiyan. Now you understand where he is. His Super Saiyan, his base level was dominant, but now he gets a change of hair. Now he gets to unlock one of his other key attributes. And now in the first half, instead of being nondescript, he has a nice game in the first half, maybe 8 or 10, maybe 120 yards. He comes back in the second half after the adjustments, and then he goes, he goes 10 or 20. Now we're looking at one of those situations where now he over 300 yards almost. He still got his 3 touchdowns. As you notice, there weren't no interceptions, right? And also he wasn't taking unnecessary sacks, right? So now his awareness is getting better. So if you were to extrapolate this over I put him in, it's almost like if you was to put him in the XFL over the summer or the USFL over the summer, right? And have him play in that joint, he'll come back next year and be full Deshaun Watson. He just need to get some stuff under his belt, some games. That's it.
By the way, guys, speaking of other scores, did you see the Patriots beat the Dolphins?
They did.
Dolphins have completely, for all the remember early in the year, everybody was like, Mike McDaniel and Tua, and what a team. And they have completely collapsed. I know Tua didn't play today. They've lost 5 in a row. They're now 8-8. And right now, at the moment, the Patriots have the last playoff spot and the Dolphins are out.
Now, listen. Now, I would like to extrapolate of what would have happened if the Browns would have continued to win.
If the Browns had won last week, they would still be very much alive for the playoffs.
And a lot.
They would have been alive had the Patriots lost last week. I think if the Browns had won last week, I think they would be alive no matter what happens with the Jets today. I don't know if the Jets would have to lose, but the Browns, had they beaten New Orleans, they would still be alive right now.
And
the
New
Dolphins
Orleans
have
beat
lost
Philadelphia today.
Did they hold on in that game?
2010. I just saw the final score.
Giants made the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. They won. Detroit with a win over the Bears. Jacksonville won. Kansas City held on.
Shout out to the Detroit Lions, man. Like, there's one squad that is just as beat up and trash as we are over the last 80 years. It's definitely the Detroit Lions, man. They doing something, right? Were they 8-8 now?
Yeah, I mean, they blew it last week. They had that hot streak, and then they had terrible last week against Carolina, and then they played great today. Yeah, and it looks like Tampa Bay. Carolina was up 14-0 on Tampa Bay. They controlled their destiny. They blew it. It's now 30-24. Tampa with 20 seconds to go.
And Tampa has the ball, right?
No, Carolina's got it, but they got it inside their own 10-yard line with 20 seconds or something.
So, assuming tonight, well, not assuming. Tonight we have Pittsburgh playing the Ravens in Sunday Night Football. At the moment, the Steelers and the Browns both have 7 wins now, correct? Yeah,
no.
The Browns are 7-9. The Steelers are 7-8.
Oh, yes, right.
Setting up what could be next week a matchup, or it does set up really next week a matchup for last place in the AFC.
Because even if the Steelers win tonight, if the Browns win next week, they'll have the same record.
Yes.
But the Browns will finish third. So next week will be the battle for third place in the AFC North, no matter what the Steelers do tonight.
Hey, I think they throw this out in the chat. In the chat, how many of y'all lost that free money? There's a lot of free gambling money going around. Let me raise my hand and put my joint up. The whole 100 is out of here.
Cleveland 2020.
How bad I did today?
Hold on. Cleveland 2022 says he's up $104 on his free DraftKings and FanDuel bets.
Hey, man. Hey,
here's what I did today. Listen.
What'd you have?
FanDuel. I put all 200 fake dollars on, or not fake, but all 200 free dollars on over 216 for Watson. I downloaded BetMGM, put all 200 free dollars on Deshaun Watson over 216, and then I went to Three Rivers and took the $100. So I had 500 free dollars on Deshaun Watson over 216 and a half. That is how confident I was that he was going to throw for 4 yards today. And guess what?
Diversification.
I was legitimately that confident, G. And the worst part is we are sitting here talking about Deshaun Watson playing an unbelievable second half, an impeccably good second half, and he threw 3 completions for 23 yards.
I know you was sick.
Here's the worst part. That last drive in the first half by the Commanders, and listen, shout out to Deshaun Watson. You balled out. Thank you for giving us something to talk about all week. It was beautiful to watch you play in the second half. But that 21-play drive in the second, G, all I kept thinking to myself was, don't give the ball back with 12 seconds left. Don't take a knee. Don't take a knee. Because all I needed was a little tunnel screen to Kareem Hunt for 20 yards there, and then you go into halftime feeling a lot better about yourself. And guess what? That drive took 12 minutes and 27 seconds and $500 free dollars out of my pocket. Ron Rivera, you're a bum. Carson Wentz, you're a bum. I'm suing Daniel Snyder for all his money. You can all go screw yourself. And I apologize to the people because I said, book it. It's a lock.
Yeah, you should refund all their money too. By the way, is this
free money?
Is this guy on the super chat serious?
What?
Is this super chat serious, or is this guy joking around?
I don't know. Wayne Ford said, look at the division. Browns can end up 4-2 if the Ravens lose. That's not how it works, Wayne.
Remember Tyvus thought that in the beginning of the year?
Tyvus, listen, Wayne, you're not alone. Tyvus thought the same thing. But in his overall record, your division record only counts as a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's only tiebreakers. If you have the best record in your division, that's nice. It only counts.
You got to do something else, dog. That's like saying I cleaned my room, but you threw everything under your bed. Yeah. Yes, the floor is clean.
Could you imagine if it was only division games and you just sat your starters for every game, but those 6?
Yeah, right.
Like the ultimate load management in football. Even though it's true, division record matters in the AFC South. Today's Jacksonville game didn't essentially matter. The winner of Week 18, Titans Jaguars, is a playoff.
Right, but it's because it's a tiebreaker.
Well, but I'm saying that is what it comes down to. That game,
right,
outside of everything else of this week and the week before. So
I saw this. M. Scott says, "I'm still alive. 17 parlay. I took the Browns, Bucks, Lions, Packers, Niners, Jags, Chiefs 100 to win 1,300. You only win 1,300 on a $100 bet on a 17 parlay?
Now listen, now Bull, you got to explain.
Name those teams again, though.
The Bucks, the Browns, the Lions, the Packers, the Niners, the Jags, and the Chiefs.
So 3 of those teams were 10-point favorites.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's probably unless he bet them on the money line. But if you bet
money line, that's definitely money line.
I guess you're right. Okay.
Definitely money line.
Well, somebody Bull explain this. Somebody
what's a parlay?
The parlays are all sucker bets, though. They said the parlays are sucker bets.
They are. It's very rare to win a parlay. But I was never a big sports gambler back in the day. I was more. I bet, and when I was betting sports back in the day, which I didn't do a lot, but I was betting illegally with a bookie, 30 years ago. But I was more of a horse racing and cards guy than a sports bettor.
I don't understand it. You rather bet. You think you get better odds and better information on horses than humans?
It was just that horse race. I was 18, 19. Horse racing was legal to bet on. I see. And I didn't.
Horse racing's fun to bet. Have you ever been to a track and bet horses?
Man, listen. I've been to the track.
Yeah.
And you know what I don't like? I got there and I felt like me. I'm a black dude that's uninformed. I went there and I'm expecting to see Seabiscuit. I'm like, where's Seabiscuit them? Where's Cigar? Where's all these dudes at? And they got the nerve to be running around on these 1920 buggy carriages behind them.
Oh, that's trotters, yeah.
I'm like, what is this? He's like,
well, you got to go to a nice track, man.
I said, bro, they race it. I'm like, how does anyone pull away from anyone? It's like having a marathon of fast walkers. Who gets out on anybody? They're just.
But they do, though.
Yeah. No. Bush, you want to hear? Last thing, we'll wrap up. You want to hear my horse? I hate horses with a passion. You want to hear why? When I was, I think, like 10 years old, I'll show you all the picture tomorrow. For my grandpa's 75th birthday, he wanted to go horseback riding. So I went up to like the outskirts of Bronx to some ranch bowl. I don't know if you've ever been up that part of like New York. And everyone gets on these horses to trail ride. And my dad's got this beautiful horse. My grandpa's got this beautiful horse. I got this polka dot horse named Vladimir that was skinny and small and just did it. Like, who names the horse Vladimir? So immediately as we're doing that trail ride, Vladimir's sniffing my dad's horse's butt. And my dad's horse kicks. It's like, get off me, horse, and kicks. You ever been on a horse when it gets kicked at? Well, it's terrifying, especially when you're 12 years old. So I'm like, all right, get me away from this horse. I'm going to die. Vladimir then takes off on his own, starts drinking from the river, scratching his ass on a tree. So I'm like, help me, like, guys, like, don't leave me behind, like, waving. So the trail leader goes, just kick it. Don't just kick it. He'll get back in line. God. So I kick it. Vladimir takes off, sprints off, full gallop ahead of the whole team. I'm holding on for dear life. The lady had to come like lasso the horse and bring me back to the stable. I had to sit by myself while everyone else finished the trail ride. That was in like 2007, 2008.
Oh, man.
I have not gotten on a horse since. I will never get on a horse. I hate horses. I don't bet on horses. I hate the Broncos and the Colts for that exact reason. I don't bet on SMU, and that is it. I hate horses. So how about the Browns? Big win. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Restream show tomorrow.
Wait a second. Even more importantly than the Browns win is the fact that I'm going to beat Jason Lloyd in the Fantasy Football Championship. It's not set in stone yet, but it's looking good. I'm up 97 to 47.
I need to figure out.
He's got Josh Allen and Isaiah McKenzie though.
But I still got Jamar Chase, and he's still got Josh Allen, George Pickens, Isaiah McKenzie, and the Bills D. I still got Mark Andrews and Jamar Chase.
Last question for this is one last super chat. This is from Set Apart Laz. Can Stefanski's playbook get it done? I still hate his
playbook. I still hate his plays.
By the way, can Stefanski playbook? Yeah, I thought he made nice adjustments in the second half. They ran a lot more RPO in the second half.
I agree.
We'll see. Time will tell.
We'll wait till next year.
By the way,
if
G,
you're not already subscribed to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. We appreciate it.
Hold on, before we go, I got to give the third place update. G leading Earl 114 to 100, but you're projected to lose 160 to 157. So we'll see. It's still up in the air.
We'll see. All right.
Big time division game next week, guys. For all the marbles.
We do not want to be in last place.
We will see y'all tomorrow, 11 a.m. We'll be right here on Restream. Happy New Year. We love you guys. G, Bull, for McNuggets.
Love you guys. Happy New Year, everybody.